breaking story concerning a mine explosion in southern West Virginia. It happened at about 3:30 this afternoon at a Massey-owned coal mine. It's Performance Coal Company's Upper Branch Mine on the Raleigh-Boone County line near Whitesville and Mont Coal. We have confirmed that 6 miners have died in this explosion and 21 miners remain unaccounted for. That's the word from State Mine Safety Director Ron Wooten as he tells 58 WCHS and MetroNews this evening. We also were able to talk to a miner who was in the other side of that mine when the explosion occurred. Steve Smith lives in Crab Orchard. He tells us they didn't know how bad it was at first.
We just thought that there was a roof fall, something like that, may have caused all that air. But, more we got to talking about and thinking about it had to be some kind of explosion.
Right now we're standing right outside the entrance of the mine, and what I see from when I drove in is I saw about 30 ambulances at this staging area, waiting to transport anybody that needs to be transported. It's an amazing scene. You see people, you see miners out here basically waiting on word about what happened to these miners that are trapped inside.
It's important for us to try to get the survivors as quickly as possible.
The news couldn't have been any worse for the families of the miners inside Massey Energy's Upper Big Branch mine in Raleigh County. The first report of the fatalities was 7. A few hours later at midnight, as rescue teams advanced, that grew to 12 fatalities. And then at about 2 a.m., even more tragic developments. 25 miners have been found. None of them have survived. 4 miners are unaccounted for still. A borehole will be drilled in an attempt to get the bad air out so the rescue efforts can continue.
This still continues to be a rescue operation. We have 4 unaccounted, 4 miners, and we're going to do everything in our power and in the mine rescue team's power to locate those people alive.
Relatives here are growing increasingly angry at Massey Energy for having little to no contact with relatives of those who were killed in this explosion. West Virginia Congressman Nick Rahal says he has spoken with a widow and a brother of 2 of the confirmed fatalities and says both were bothered and angered by the fact that no company representative has made contact. Governor Manchin says a Massey representative did visit those families sequestered at a nearby location, but have paid no visits to relatives that were not at that location in their homes. In Raleigh County, I'm Chris Lawrence, WVMetroNews.com.
It's been hell. It really has. My brother lost his best friend, Jason Adkins, in the explosion. He was 25 years old. And he leaves behind a widow. It's just been heartbreaking, really heartbreaking.
The only thing we can tell them is, that there is hope. Hope goes beyond life.
It's pretty rough. It sure is. But, we're coal miners and we got to keep going.
A heavy-hearted Governor Joe Manchin delivered the bad news to the families early Saturday morning that the 4 miners who had not been located when the initial blast occurred had been found late Friday night and were all confirmed dead. All were in the location where rescuers believed they would be. In fact, rescuers had walked past their bodies back on Monday night, unable to see them in the dark and smoke-filled area. With this discovery, the death toll of this disaster climbs to 29, the worst mining accident in West Virginia since the Farmington mine explosion. Recovery of the bodies began immediately, and as soon as that process is complete, the investigation into what caused this accident will begin.